Welcome to today's video on what is Agile testing. The objectives for this video are first to answer what is Agile testing, and then also discuss what does an Agile tester do, 5 examples of Agile testing, the principles of Agile testing, an Agile testing strategy, best practices for Agile testing, and the benefits of Agile testing. So let's go ahead and begin. A software testing practice that follows the principles of Agile software development is called Agile testing. Agile is an iterative development methodology where requirements evolve through collaboration between the customer and self-organizing teams, and Agile aligns development with customer needs. Agile test strategy supports DevOps and continuous testing. And continuous testing is important to improving product quality. In Agile, testing is integrated directly into the development process so that bugs are discovered as early and as often as possible. As a result, testers can identify problems at every point in the development process, moving the product quickly towards release. In Agile development, testing needs to happen early and often. So instead of waiting for development to be finished before testing begins, testing happens continuously as features are added. Tests are prioritized just like user stories, and testers aim to get through as many tests as they can in an iteration. Adding automated testing tools can help testers get through more of the testing backlog. So what does an Agile tester do? Where QA, which is quality assurance, is everyone's responsibility in Agile. So Agile testers and developers need to work closely together, and communication and collaboration are key. Agile development is often driven by tests. Developers use Agile testing methods like TDD, or test-driven development, to write the test first. Then they write the code that will be verified by the test. And developers and Agile testers should collaborate before user stories or requirements are set. Once development and testing are underway, communication remains important. Agile testers should be testing as developers write code. Plus, developers will probably do some testing, and Agile testers will probably do some coding. In Agile development, the definition of done is a shared, standardized understanding among the team that a particular user story has been completed. The acceptance criteria in a user story are what will help drive the definition of done. If the user story passes the acceptance criteria, it can be considered done. This includes testing or validating the acceptance criteria. So a test verifies that what you've completed in the user story is done. It's important that both Agile testers and developers know what has been tested and what defects still need to be resolved. So 5 examples of Agile testing. As I mentioned in the previous slide, TDD, test-driven development. Well, tests come first in Agile development. So when you create a user story, you need to define the acceptance criteria, and this drives the testing and validation of the user stories. It doesn't matter which Agile test methodology you use, like Scrum or XP or Kanban. These on this slide are the typical test methods that are used. So test-driven development starts with tests. This type of development begins by discussing what you want to test and then creating the user story. So you start by writing the unit test, and then you write the user story. And finally, you write the code until the unit tests pass. TDD is typically used on unit and component tests, which can be done with automated test tools. TDD makes sure that the features are working as they should. Acceptance test-driven development, or ATDD, is similar, but ATDD starts with the customer input on functionality. This type of development begins by discussing how the product will be used. So you write the user acceptance test, the UAT, and then you write the code until it passes the test. ATDD is typically used for acceptance tests. It verifies that the product functions as the users would expect. Behavior-driven development, or BDD. BDD often stems from TDD and ATDD. In behavior-driven development, the purpose of development needs to be tied to a business outcome. So you'll have a user story, but the user story needs to answer why in business terms this feature is being developed. And in BDD, tests are included in user stories as scenarios or specifications. BDD is also used for acceptance tests. It verifies that a product features are necessary for the desired business outcome. Exploratory testing is a style of testing that lets testers follow their intuition rather than a predefined path. It's typically manual, and you record what you're doing and save it as a test, and then you figure out what exactly it was that you're testing as you go. Exploratory testing is typically used to find hidden risks within a product. These would be bugs that are missed in the functional tests done in TDD. Session-based testing. Session-based testing has some similarities to exploratory testing, but there's a little more structure in the session-based testing. Instead of figuring out what you're testing as you go, you start with a mission in mind. So session-based testing is also used to find hidden bugs within a project. So there's a handful of principles of Agile testing that you should be aware of. First, testing is not a phase. Agile test teams test continuously, and continuous testing is the only way to ensure continuous progress. Testing moves the project forward. When following conventional methods, testing is considered as quality gate, but Agile testing provides feedback on an ongoing basis, and the product meets the business demands. Everyone tests. In conventional software development lifecycle, only the test team tests, while in Agile, it includes developers and business analysts to test the application. Shortening feedback response time. In a conventional software development lifecycle, only during the acceptance testing, the business team will get to know the product development, while in Agile, for each and every iteration, they're involved, and continuous feedback shortens the feedback response time, and the costs involved in fixing is also less. Clean code. Raised defects are fixed within the same iteration, and therefore it keeps the code clean. Reducing test documentation. Instead of very lengthy documentation, Agile testers use reusable checklists and focus on the essence of the test rather than the incidental details. And test-driven. In conventional methods, testing is performed after implementation, while in Agile, testing is done while implementing. So the Agile testing strategy. Testing in traditional development typically includes a test plan, but a well-documented test plan is not common in Agile development. Instead, Agile testers need to be flexible and ready to respond to shifts in requirements. So there needs to be an Agile test strategy rather than an Agile test plan. There are many ways to outline your Agile test strategy. You may simply outline the strategy in a document. You might create a test matrix, or you might use a Kanban board. No matter which Agile test methodology you take, your strategy should include a purpose, which is defined by your user story, objectives, which are your test cases, scope, which needs to be tested, and methods, which how the tests will be run. Some best practices for Agile testing include automated unit test, test-driven development, automated regression tests, and exploratory testing. Now, the benefits of Agile testing, there are a handful here. Agile testing improves product quality and enables development teams to release software on short cycles, and effective test case management helps Agile testers. You'll manage the scope of each release, which helps to prioritize features of each iteration and deliver the most important ones first. Agile testing saves time and money. You'll find and fix errors faster. You'll also lower the risk of finding a bug at the very end of testing and missing a deadline. There's less documentation. Regular feedback is from the end user, so you'll make customers happy by delivering regular releases, and that'll improve the customer retention rates. And daily meetings can help to determine the issues well in advance. I hope you liked this video on what is Agile testing. If you did, go ahead and smash the like button. And if you want to see more videos on project management and Agile and Scrum and Kanban, go ahead and subscribe to my channel because I update them every week, a couple times. Thanks.